Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Paw Prints University. Today we are going to be talking about the life of a puppy. Who is really in charge here? Ugh, these puppies. We have them all over town, don't we? And let's see if we can get some help here and some relief for everyone. So I've heard from several people this week about challenges they're having, and I wanted to give you guys my 5 tips on how to get started. So if you have a puppy who was a total angel when she came home, she was so sweet and she slept all the time. She was so well behaved. And now, a few days later, she's like, what? I need attention now. And she's nipping at your feet. What happened? Oh, I don't know. If your puppy didn't bark at all for the first few weeks, they were so calm and didn't react to things. And now all of a sudden, they're whining and they're barking at everything. Ooh, what has changed? Let's find out. Oh, yes. And sometimes we rescue an older dog, right? And they are doing great. They just, they seem really calm and sweet. And they just do everything that you say. And then a few weeks later, they don't listen, or at least that's what you're thinking is going on. So let's find out what's really going on with these puppies and these new rescue dogs that you have welcomed into your home with open arms and a big heart. So let's get started. Oh, we are going to have fun today. So we have my top 5, and let's get started. The first one is about when you have a new puppy and you bring them home, there's what we like to call a transition period. And this happens if you have a new puppy, a rescue dog, and also this can happen if you have had a sudden change in you've moved, or you've added a new dog to the family, or something like a world pandemic and all of a sudden you're home 24/7. Your dogs can react to that too. So we have what's called a transition period. This is something that's very common. It happens. So we like to say it's the 3-3-3 rule. And it's 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. So the first 3 days, your puppy and your rescue dog seem to be perfect. They don't bark. They sleep a lot. They do what they're told. They, may eat. They may not. But they just seem really calm and mellow. And they may have seemed like that in the shelter or with the family that you met. They're like, ooh, they're really calm, And then you bring them home and they settle down. They have a few days, and about 3 days or so later, they start to get more comfortable in their situation. They start to feel better. They start to explore. They start to have their personality come out. And so that's what happens after those 3 days. The second part is this 3 weeks period. About, it varies depending on the dog. And so we have to have that transition. The next part is that after 3 months, they can have something else happen where you see that they start acting out. They start feeling maybe a little curious, and they try seeing like what they can get away with. They start testing boundaries, and this happens with puppies. This also happens a lot with rescue dogs because they have been shuffled around a lot. They don't know where they're going, and then all of a sudden they find that they have a forever home, and you're providing that. And so I want to help you know that that's just how it happens, that they have this period of time where they start acting out. So that's the first tip I wanted to share with you. We'll get into more about that in a little bit because that's a big one. So the second one I just want to talk about is their health. So oftentimes we bring home this 8-week-old puppy or a 2-year-old dog from a shelter or from a breeder, and they seem really calm. And oftentimes they actually have some kind of a health issue going on. So there's maybe they have tapeworm, which is very common, or they may even have fleas. So if they have fleas or something like that, they may seem more agitated than normal. They may be itching a lot, the symptoms of fleas. And so they may be really uncomfortable. And in so doing that, they're not able to be a normal dog, they're not able to train, you're not able to train them, they may not be hungry, they may be scared. So there's things that we want to check. So their health is one of the first things. In training, I always talk about health, and nutrition is one of the first things. They may be on a diet that they're allergic to or that they're having intolerance, and so the diet is making them uncomfortable. So your dog, the first few days you bring them home, may not eat, and it may be because they are stressed out, and it may also be because the food doesn't make them feel good. So we want to look at a whole nutrition and then their whole wellness and health to make sure that they're healthy. And so sometimes they will seem calm, but really they just don't feel well. I deal with this a lot with clients. They're like, oh, my dog was so calm. And I'm like, well, this is a little too calm for an 8-week-old puppy. Why don't we get this checked out first? And oftentimes there is an underlying health cause. So make sure to get a health checkup for your dog. And also, for the third thing about bringing home a new dog is that puppies especially, they take naps. They're just like a new baby. They do take naps. They sleep a lot. When they're awake, so you better be prepared, but they do take naps. And so you want to give them that space. You want to give your puppy and any dog or animal you bring home, you want to make sure you've set up a safe space for them, that they can rest without the tumult of the household, and have a little bit of calm in the middle of their day. So even adult dogs, they take naps during the day. You wish we all could. So, let's just think like a dog and take our afternoon naps just like they do. And so just give them that safe space where they can go, especially now that we're all home all the time in this lovely pandemic. So, since a lot of us are home anyway, let's give them that space that they need to take their midday naps. And that's the third tip. The next thing, I wanted to offer again is just a reminder about making sure that the whole family is on board with this plan of the transition period. So I'm just going to give you an example. At the beginning of the pandemic, all of a sudden, I wasn't out walking dogs 5-6 hours a day, and I was home with Jilly, with my dog. And a few months later, we had to leave for a couple of hours, and I put her in her crate like she had been doing for a couple of years on a regular basis. And we came back, and she was panicked. And I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, what happened? She used to love going in her crate. And then I realized that over the past several months, we had been home all the time. Someone was always home, and she had someone who, she could follow around. She could just make sure we were all around. She likes to, check out where everyone is before she settles in her own space. And she didn't have that. And so I had to retrain her and me to the crate, and to remember that it's a safe space, and we will come back. And so that's what I'm saying about the transition can happen even if you have a dog that you've had for years. So when there's a big life change like a pandemic, or if the household changes, people move in or out, or you all move to a new location, just know that there is that transition period. So we want to make sure that there's a safe space for them to go all the time, and that it's a good, safe, happy space for them. The next thing I wanted to mention is that this 3-day, 3-week, 3-month idea, also we have to know that our dogs, our puppies, do something just like our children, and they go into an adolescent stage. So we have this great 2-3-month-old puppy. They're doing great. And then around 6 months, 8 months, and 10 months, the adolescent period can last anywhere up to 18 months, depending on the size and breed of your dog. They go through this adolescent period. So you have taken Paw 1. You've taken Paw 2. You have taken canine social etiquette. You have gone to every training class and taken agility and all of these courses. You have walks and you do all of these things, right? And a few months later, you are good. You're good to go. And so your training maybe slows down a little bit because your dog knows everything and you know everything. And so you kind of just forget that your dog may not retain all that information. So training is something that we need to be consistent and continue through their lifetime. Maybe not with as big of a excitement and the high value treats every single time once they're adults, but sometimes we have to go back to the basics and we have to remember. So just like I had to do with Jilly, with retraining her on the crate and giving her some new fun activities to do. We did some new crate games and got her to remember that it's a great place, and she naps in there during the day. It's a wonderful space for her. So, you know, we have to go back to the basics. So when they reach this adolescent period, they may stop listening to you. And really, they are, and you feel like they're sliding back. They start going to the bathroom in the house. They start jumping on the table for food. They start barking when you're walking them down the street. And they didn't do that before. And if they did, you had the tools to redirect them. And when you get out of practice, that's what happens. And on top of that, they have become an adolescent. So just like our own children, when they become teenagers and start rebelling, that's what our dogs are doing too. So just to remember my 3 things that I always I'm going to just say these over and over and over again. The 3 things that I always talk about is about being patient and about practice and about being consistent. And the patience really needs to happen even more so during this adolescent period. The practice needs to continue. So we need to continue practicing with our dogs everything that we have learned in our force-free rewards-based training programs. You can check out, any of our videos. You can join our group, Paw Prints University Classmates, to hear what other people are saying in your community and around the world on how we walk our dogs without them pulling us down the street, without them barking at every squirrel. There's all kinds of ways that we can do that, and we need to keep practicing even when they become settled into your house. That is a time where we even need to do it more, because we need to remind them that those first 8 weeks that we were with our puppies, and we loved those puppies. They were the cutest things. I don't know. Have you seen some of the puppies? Yeah, you have them at home. They're the cutest things ever. So you show them off to your friends, and you socialize them with other dogs, and you take them on play dates, and you do all these fun things for about 8 weeks, and then you're tired, and we stop, and we slow down. And so we need to keep going, push through, especially during those adolescent times, especially around that 3-month mark when they have settled in to their routine. Let's keep that routine going. Let's keep taking them on hikes, no matter what the weather is. Let's keep introducing them to new people and dogs, no matter if we're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's find a way to keep these guys socialized. And the last thing I just want to talk about is that, you guys, we're going to go back to work. We are going to travel again. We are going to leave these animals for longer than 5 minutes. Let's start practicing now. It's really important. Even if you just brought home an 8-week, 10-week-old puppy, let's teach them what it means to stay home for 5 minutes alone with no one in the house. Take a walk without them. That is part of training. That is part of socialization. We need to remind them, not even remind them, some of them we're teaching for the first time. We need to remind ourselves that we can leave the house without our dogs on our lap, right, and on the leash. So one of the things that I really, really want to mention and make sure you know is that we need to leave our dogs, because eventually we will again. And they are safe, and they are fine, and they are much happier in their own home than they are if you travel with them, if you take them to someone else's house. They are settled into their house. So your dogs and your cats are most comfortable when they are at home and in their own environment. So let's remind them that they can be in their own environment even without us. So that's my last tip. I just wanted to share with you some things that we can do. So that's my top 5, some things we can do besides practicing leaving our dogs at home. Again, practicing, being consistent, and being patient. Being patient with ourselves, being patient with our animals. You can join our Paw Prints University Classmates Facebook group. We are a fantastic group of people who have dogs and cats and other animals, and we're in there talking every day about how we can better their lives with rewards-based training, force-free training, fear-free training, and all the things that help our animals get through this wonderful time together. Then if you need help with walking or any other type of training, I have a brand new guide out called Strut Don't Stress. If you haven't downloaded this guide and read it, every single page, grab it now. The link will be at in the comments. You can find a link for it. And the guide helps you get you prepared to walk down the street with grace and style. And that's how we should all be. Like, we should all be happy when we're taking a walk. We should not have the fear and stress that our dog is going to pull us and bark at every dog and squirrel that they meet. We want them to also have the opportunity to sniff and explore their environment safely on the other end of the leash. So I'm really grateful for every single one of you. I hope you all get out and enjoy whatever weather you have, wherever you live around the world today with your animals. And I will see you all next week.